Some are very, very devoted to the nationalist agenda. They're patriots. In fact, it was these patriots who saved us from Hillary Clinton. Hillary can blame this on whoever she wants to. The fact is, in the FBI, they had so much damning information proving beyond any doubt that Hillary Clinton was as corrupt as they come, and that she was guilty, not only with Benghazi, but the whole email scandal. They had so much evidence, and originally FBI Director Comey killed the investigation. Well, I was told from my sources inside the FBI that what happened was basically a civil war. A group of patriots went to him and said, here's how it's going to work, Comey. You are either going to reopen this investigation, because closing the investigation took away from the American people the idea that Hillary was corrupt. Well, these patriots said, either you are going to open this investigation, or somehow this information is going to get leaked to the public, and then you are going to have to answer to the American people in the U.S. Congress as to why you sat on it. So Comey was backed into a corner. He complied with the letter of the law. In late October, he reopened the investigation. People have asked, why did Comey do this? Hillary says she's all ticked off because Comey sabotaged her campaign. Well, yes, he did. Not because he wanted to. Remember, James Comey used to work for a major corporation, military industrial complex corporation that was associated with the Clinton Foundation. He didn't want to go after Hillary Clinton. He was forced to, for the sake of his own job expediency. There's a reason that Trump fired him. Trump got in there and found out that this guy was playing for the other side, against the good of the American people, and that he only complied with getting the stuff out about Hillary just to save his own skin. Because remember, he opened it, but then he quickly closed it again. He complied with the demands to open the case, but then he shut it down again, and it went nowhere. All right, so that's what's going on. But anyway, going back to Senator Leahy, he said, and I don't remember the exact quote, but he said something to the effect of, I do not believe in any way, shape, or form that Ivins was involved in the attack on Congress and the anthrax attacks on the American people. And he said this repeatedly. I'm sure you can Google it and find his statements on that. Well, like the saying goes, you can't let a good crisis go to waste. So even though they botched it, the CIA botched this operation. Well, it's not so much that they botched it; it's that elements within the FBI subverted the operation by releasing the information about the anthrax coming from a U.S. military base. But still, they capitalized on the event. What they did was they said that the anthrax male scare, what they did was they created something to protect the American people from this happening again. It was called the Male Isolation Control and Tracking Program. And this program was hidden from the American people all the way up until 2013, when it had to be disclosed in a court case. Now, here's what this program does. You probably don't know this. Every single piece of mail that you send and receive, every single piece of mail gets digitally scanned, recorded, and saved in a government database. And in the court case in 2013, during the 2012 part, because the case went on a little while, it came out in the court case that up till that point, between 2001 or 2 when it started, all the way up through 2012, the government had scanned over 160 billion pieces of mail and recorded it. This is a huge invasion of privacy. And of course, the government wasn't telling us. But you can go back to a 2014 article by Newsweek, and they talked about this program after it came out in the court case. And they said that in 2013 alone, See, what they do is, it's not just that they scan the outside of the correspondence. I'm not saying that they open the mail. They scan the outside of the envelopes. Who is getting it, where it's coming from. Okay? That's what they scan and record. But in the name of terrorism, law enforcement agencies or federal agencies, either one, state, local, federal, they can request to view the people's mail, who they're sending it to, who they're getting stuff from. They just, and so this New York Times Newsweek article talked about it, and then the New York Times filed a Freedom of Information request to find out if this stuff was true, and they confirmed it. They confirmed everything I'm saying. You can find that in the New York Times. So one of the problems with this is that the law enforcement agencies are using our mail to fish for ideas for cases to build against people that they want to arrest for one reason or another. See, under the Constitution, we have Fourth Amendment rights against unreasonable search and seizure. You cannot invade our privacy. You can't go hunting for something. You can't get a warrant saying, we don't know what this guy has done that's wrong, but we're going to search. We need a warrant just to go look in general. But that's exactly what they're doing. They are taking these mail pieces. If they can look at it and see who you're sending mail to, who you're getting mail from, they can piece it together into a story that sounds bad and use that claim to go get a warrant to start reading the inside of your mail. And so based on these very weak theories that they can concoct using this clandestine mail program, it puts us all at risk. Anyway, I don't want to get too much into that. I guess I'll finish just by saying I have been researching terrorism, geopolitical strategy, these clandestine intelligence operations for decades now. Yes, there are real threats that come up. There are real acts of terrorism, but I'm telling you, most of this stuff is the work of the Central Intelligence Agency. Why are they doing it? You might be, why? Why are they doing this? It is because the Central Intelligence Agency is not working on behalf of the American people. The CIA is essentially a private mercenary force that operates on behalf of what is called the New World Order. It is a cartel of multinational corporations, the international bankers that fund them, oil corporations. They go around the world. Right now, Genie Oil, for example, Dick Cheney is on the board of directors, along with former CIA director, which one is it? I can't think of his name right now. It'll come to me in a minute. Woolsey. I think it's James Woolsey. Jacob Rothschild, Lord Jacob Rothschild. These men served together on the board of directors for a New Jersey company called Genie Oil. Genie Oil is a subsidiary of an oil corporation, oil energy corporation in Israel. Well, they are trying to get in and drill oil, massive amount of oil, in the Golan Heights. The Golan Heights is the southwestern corner of Syria. Israel grabbed it. They stole the land, and they've been occupying it militarily since 1967. But it still belongs to Syria. No nation on earth other than Israel says that land belongs to Israel. Okay, it's an illegal occupation. And they won't let go of that territory because they stand to reap way too much profit from these oil fields. Now, I've reported previously that in addition to where Jacob Rothschild and his connections to oil corporations are operating, they're in Somalia, they're in Sudan, but they're also there in Syria. Well, the CIA has mobilized. They use the U.S. military troops as their foot soldiers. They say, well, we've got intelligence that says there's whatever terrorist operation here, and so they will send the military in. You guys don't know this, but there are thousands of United States troops that have been secretly moved into Jordan They came in through the Gulf of Aqaba, up through the along the Red Sea there, up through Jordan, up to the border of Syria, and they're standing there as bodyguards to guarantee that the Syrian Arab Army, which is the government army of Syria, that Bashar al-Assad cannot send his army in and retake this. The United States military is being used by the CIA on behalf of Israeli and U.S. corporates, corporate oil interests. And that's not in the interest of the American people. Our government is not in control anymore. The United States, we gripe about our government all the time. They're inefficient, they're bureaucracy, and that's all true. But the truth is they are so bloated. The bureaucracy, what we call the deep state, that is not under the control of the American people. It is not under the control of the U.S. Congress. It's not under the control of the United States president. Our politicians are figureheads. The real power that controls the U.S. government are these people. They own the think tanks that develop our foreign policy for us. It's not the U.S. government that crafts U.S. foreign policy, meaning what we do around the world. These are a group of neocon Zionists that make up the Council on Foreign Relations, the CFR. It's an independent think tank, but they infest the U.S. State Department. Other than 2 secretaries of state, every Secretary of State in the last 100 years has been a member of the CFR. Hillary Clinton in speeches before the CFR, you can find it on YouTube. She tells them in public speeches, I'm so glad that you have an office here in Washington, D.C., so that I don't have to go that far to get our marching orders. Okay, this Council on Foreign Relations is wholly under the control of these multinational corporations. They own it. These are the people that buy our politicians. Why is it that our politicians go and make promises to the American people? Promise, and then they get elected and they don't do anything? It's because they are not beholden to us. They are beholden to the special interests, the corporations, the bankers, those who fund their campaigns and guarantee them power. Not just that, not just the temporary power, but these people, after they get out of office, they become multimillionaires. Absolutely filthy, stinking rich. Because if they agree to scratch the back of these companies while they're in office, if they pass laws, if they turn their faces the other way while terrible things happen in Libya and Syria, if they do that, if they go along with what the Israeli lobby, like AIPAC and others, tell them to do, then when they finish their time as congressmen, they get these extremely, extremely high-paying jobs as corporate lobbyists for the very companies that were funding their campaigns. Okay, this is such corruption. It is on a scale never before seen in U.S. history. We've always had problems, but what's going on now is so corrupt. Our government is rotten to the core, and it's putting the lives of American people at risk because they're out there right now risking war with North Korea, which is going to put us against China. Where they're out there, they've already overthrown Ukraine. They're out there trying to overthrow the government of Syria. And since that didn't work, because thank goodness Vladimir Putin got in there and put the U.S., the CIA in check and stop them from overthrowing the regime in Syria. Now what they're doing is they're trying to break it off. They're trying to take the top third of Syria, give it to the Kurds because the CIA controls the Kurds. And that's where most of the oil fields are. They're trying to cut off Syria, the government of Syria, and the people of Syria from their own natural resources. They're going to break it off, try and create a Kurdistan state unto itself. That is why right now you've got the Euphrates River, you've got the Kurds and the CIA, the U.S. military on one side of the Euphrates where the oil fields are, and underneath it on the other side, you've got the Syrian Arab Army and you've got the Russian forces. This is World War III in the making. None of the, and of course down in the Golan Heights, Israel already controls that oil. So this is not conspiracy theory. Don't you dare call me a conspiracy theorist. I will take facts and drown you with them. This is fact. But the American people don't understand it. I want you to share this video. Share it like crazy. Please get the word out. Now, I'm going to close with this. I've got a surprise for you. I'm on my way right now to the airport. I won't say exactly where I'm going, but I'll give you a clue. For the rest of the week, I'm going to be reporting on my investigation in person well, I'm going to Las Vegas, but I'm not going to say where I'm staying or anything like that. I'm going to be in Las Vegas, and I'm going to bring you as much in-person video and facts about the shooting as I can. I'm going to talk to witnesses. I've got a number of meetings set up, and I'm going to take you around, videotape, show you everything as best I can. So if you want to support this, where this is an expensive trip, I would ask that you would support me in doing this. YouTube has taken away all of my income. They've demonetized almost everything on my channel, about 95% of my videos. I rely 100% on your support. So I ask you to be a patron of my work. Go to patreon.com/endtimesnewsreport. You can make a one-time donation at paypal.me/endtimesnewsreport. And if you prefer to make a donation directly by check or money order, cash, you're welcome to send that to my P.O. Box, right to Jake Morphonios, End Times News Report, P.O. Box 1333, Kernersville, North Carolina, 27285. Thank you so much for your support. I cannot do this kind of work without your generosity, and I thank you so much. So many of you have been so generous. Together, me, you, and all of the other great investigative journalists who are citizens who care about our country, we are working together against those interests that are trying to destroy our sovereignty, who are out there slaughtering our people in places like Las Vegas. They are the enemies. Let's take Democrats, Republicans, join forces, and work together for the good of our country. Thank you so much for watching. For the End Times News Report, I'm Jake Morphonios.